Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome back to the Long Term Podcast. I'm your host, Adnan Villa. Today, we have an amazing guest, having recently just graduated from nursing, Ireland, Ferguson. Today, we're gonna discuss nursing holistically, reflecting back after being done, the role of physical activity when it comes to alleviating anxiety and connecting with friends at the gym, the importance of debriefing situations, and capitalizing on emotional intelligence, otherwise known as EQ, to help you in life and to regulate your own emotions, the importance of family and keeping in touch even when they do move away, and ensuring that the relationship is uplifted, and the importance of faking it till you make it as a mindset to help you enhance your confidence and live a life with less doubt. Welcome.
I'm good.
All right. Ireland, Ferguson, everyone, welcome.
Hello.
And can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So I just graduated nursing from MacEwan. So right now I'm studying for the NCLEX, which is honestly not very fun. But
What is it?
it's called the NCLEX. So basically, I'm a graduate nurse right now, and then when I write the NCLEX, I become a registered nurse.
Okay.
So I need it to go into my career. So working on that right now. I just moved back from Cold Lake, as you know.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Woohoo! Good to be back. Yeah. I don't know. Not much else.
Out of all the career choices, why did you choose nursing?
I originally wanted to go into physiotherapy, actually. I was really interested in that because I like to talk to people and I really like biology. And I always thought nursing, I used to hate blood, so I was like, I'll never be a nurse. No. And then I shadowed at a physio clinic and I did not like it at all. It was boring, just to me personally. So I went into nursing kind of on a whim because one of my friends was in it and it actually ended up working out.
Wow. Well, I see, I was just at Dynalife to get my blood drawn out, and wow. And I asked the person, I think it's the lab tech, that's what they're called?
Yeah.
How many times they do this and drawing out blood?
Mm-hmm.
She said 60 times, right? So then for nurses, that's typical to see blood that often, right? If not more.
100%. Like in so many things, you see blood
Mm-hmm.
for so many different reasons. So as a kid, when I was I hate blood, obviously I could not have been in nursing, but now when there's a trauma situation, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be there.
That's insane. How do you guys do that?
I don't know.
How did you get through the chaos of nursing?
Okay. So I started in January 2020. So I had 2 months of normalness, and then I went into COVID, school online, which was awful. But I was able to build a friend group in those month and a half that I was in person. And that is probably the only reason that I actually survived, I'd say, the chaos of nursing school, just because you need those people to lean on, and I had great family supports and other friend supports. So probably that, and then just
So this support group helped you get through the difficult times.
100%.
Yeah.
You need
So
one.
did you guys study together? Did you guys just because I know when I study with my friends, right? Sure, it's great to have a support system. We don't get anything that.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like when we study in our big group, usually it's a social hangout, maybe a few questions.
Yeah.
But even if you a few people in the support group, just small groups, I found it was easier to study with. But yeah, definitely the big groups, you don't really, they're just more for fun. You don't really study.
So with nursing, the steps to it is your first year, and it's all just your typical classes, right?
No, first semester is just typical classes, and then first year, second semester, at least at MacEwan, I'm not sure about other schools, but at least at MacEwan, it's you have labs and you have clinical, they start you first year with people working in the hospitals right away, which is good.
Right away?
Yeah, so that you know what you're getting yourself into.
Wow. So how does that go about?
So first year, the second semester, we would once a week just go into usually a long-term care facility, and just kind of start doing little stuff, taking someone's blood pressure and pulse and doing care, just to kind of get used to like being around people and like being in that like environment, I guess.
Yeah. A lot of people in nursing that I've talked to, they say that you're just kind of catapulted into the profession, and a lot of what you learn on the textbook do not really apply, right? For nurses, you can read about it, you can memorize it, but that doesn't really help unless you're actually immersed in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I would completely agree. Like, yes, the school stuff is so important, of course, and you need to know that. But like in second year, they kind of just like throw you in, it feels like, into the deep end a little bit. But like I've learned most of it being in clinical, being on the job. That's when personally I just find it like it sticks. You know, you actually are like hands on. You're doing the skills. You're learning more about the medications. You know, because it's like you're actually seeing a situation where that's happening. So then it like sticks better for me personally.
Can you describe your first day?
Of nursing school?
Yeah,
Or of clinic?
Clinical. Yeah.
Terrified. I was terrified. I remember I was in Spruce Grove, so I drove an hour to get there. But I got a carpool with like a friend, so that was good. But like I was so scared. I couldn't even take like a radio pulse, which is like one of the easiest things you do.
Yeah.
But I was like shaking. I couldn't do it. So it was terrifying. But I loved it. I knew like I really liked it at that point. So.
Just I keep talking to the nurses, and what they describe are grueling hours, like 12-hour days, and and that's in the clinicals as well. Yeah.
We only had like 8-hour shifts in clinicals. But they are like they're tiring because you're learning so much. It's like a new environment. You're not getting paid, so you're like also trying to
Not
work.
getting paid.
No, we don't get paid for clinicals typically.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's not. But anyway, that's a side note. So then you're working like outside of it. So I feel like it just feels like it's so much because the weeks are so like packed full of stuff.
Well, for the schooling, did you study loads? Did you kind of just learn on the job? Like, how does the process work when it comes to test writing? Because it's not your typical, because I'm in my psychology degree, in the process of acquiring that, and it's just you go to the lectures and you study up, and then there's a test midterm. I take it for nursing, it's different, right? You're graded on, like, how does that process work?
So some classes are like that. Like you go in, you learn your stuff, you take the test, like a normal class would be. And then we have labs as well. So then you learn like skills, and then they test you on those skills. So I'd say it's like very alike to other faculties, I guess, but it just also has like that lab component and then the clinical component, obviously.
How are you marked for the clinical component?
So it's pass or fail. So you either passed it or you don't. And typically it comes with like an assignment or two and then like patient research and stuff.
Do they monitor you a bunch?
Yeah, like so it's basically usually it's like one clinical instructor to like 5 students on the unit. So they're like everywhere. And they speak to the nurses too to ask like how we're doing and but yeah, I don't know how they do it.
And I know with engineering, it's a very high dropout rate. I know I had Giacomo Perry, yeah, a couple of days back, and the biochemistry dropout rate was insane.
Jeez, I couldn't do that.
Yeah. What is it like in nursing? Is it you get weeded out?
I do a little bit.
Yeah.
Like they have like one of our classes, pharmacology, you have to do a it's called a medication calculation test, and if you don't get 100, you fail, and you get one try. Which okay, it's good because in retrospect, if you get the medication calculation wrong, someone could die, obviously. But that definitely weeds out people. And I think like from my experience, like I started and it was basically during COVID. So some people dropped out that first year because of COVID, because they had to work more, because they had to go home to take care of their family because of different reasons. So I feel like my experience was a little different just because like COVID caused some people to like have to leave the program.
Okay. Yeah, what was that like doing school with COVID?
It was really rough. Like to be honest, I remember we had a health assessment class and they would give us a poster and we'd put it like on the wall and you'd have to use your stethoscope to like listen to the lungs on the wall, which like you're not really learning anything.
On the wall.
Yes, on the wall. Like you're like sitting there holding it against the wall.
I can just picture that. Like,
You felt so dumb. I felt so silly.
Proctor?
Literally, no, but they do. They want you. Anyways, so that was definitely like an experience. And like clinicals, I started my second year during when COVID was like full swing. So I was basically on a COVID unit, and like you see a lot of obviously like sad things. So I think it was definitely kind of like I was right in when it like started, or I was like starting it when COVID was like super big.
Immersed that time when it was busy and a lot of people were coming in, chaos.
Lots of chaos.
What's the greatest lesson you've learned?
Ooh, to trust the patient because they know their body way better than you do. And if they say something's wrong, something's probably wrong.
What if they're lying?
And some people don't lie, but some people do exaggerate a little bit. Some people do exaggerate a little bit. But I'd rather trust them and do the necessary tests and make sure they're not, having a heart attack, let's say, then
I've experienced a lot of conditions that are true to me. So when I'm sick or when I'm experiencing some pain in my ears, my hearing was a little bit, there's some malfunction in it, and I went to the doctors and they didn't really find anything. And the pain was true to me, right? Like maybe the doctors couldn't find anything and they really couldn't empathize what I was going through. But when you're in it, when you're experiencing something, because chronic pain is a very big issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the addiction, people, it's all internal, right? You may look at a person and they may be completely fine.
Their vital signs could be stable, they could be fine, but they could be in a world of pain.
Yeah. And that's what I've noticed with some doctors is they don't believe the patient, right? And it's, as you said, trusting the patient that, hey, I don't think, I heard this from a podcast with Andrew Huberman. He's a Stanford professor.
Okay.
And he has his own podcast called the Huberman Lab as well. And he goes that, no plug. He goes to say that there's no such thing as psychosomatic because everything is real to that person. Because maybe there's no like physical symptoms.
Yeah.
But it is very real for that person. Maybe it's all in their head, but all in their head can result.
It's still real. 100%.
Now, how does the healthcare system and your experience with nursing, how do you guys deal with people like that?
So I've been told a lot of stories from patients who have come in with chronic pain about how, some doctors don't listen and some other healthcare members don't listen. Personally for me, I don't know, I just we were always just taught to listen to them. Like if they have pain, like they have pain. Whether it's again in their head and it's manifesting somewhere in their body, they have pain. You need to figure out a way to treat it. And sometimes that means them coming in a few times, unfortunately, and us having to refer them to different programs to try to figure out what could actually heal the pain. So
yeah, and I've heard a lot of people that just keep coming back. Like I was talking to this one nurse and she said that this one person keeps just coming back and they keep giving them something different to the point where there's really nothing they can do. Yeah.
I've definitely seen that a few times, especially being in Cold Lake because it's such a small town. So we would have people come in for like one patient I remember has chronic back pain, and nothing we gave work, no pain meds, nothing. So they referred the patient to physiotherapy and like massage therapy. And I think that worked a little bit, but still not completely took the pain away. So it's hard to see them keep coming in knowing that like everything you do isn't helping. Yeah. But then you just kind of gotta find something else.
How do you deal with that though? Because I think for me personally, I see that and I feel guilty, and I feel like maybe I'd take that home.
Okay, yes. Yeah. So that is definitely a big part. I mean, of my very limited experience, but that's definitely a big part. Like not taking things home is very difficult, and I definitely have not mastered that yet in any way. But I feel like as long as you know that you did all you could do that shift, then it's kind of okay, I really can't do much more. I can't just heal someone magically, right? But if I try to find them every resource, I tried just all different things to try to heal their pain or heal whatever they came in with or help fix it, then you can kind of go home and be okay, I did all I could.
At the end of the day, you did the best that you could, and to go above and beyond, you're just simply asking too much of yourself. And if you do that, you may be sacrificing a part of yourself, and then you'd be the one that bears the suffering, that bears the consequences. So you need to look out after yourself too, because at the end of the day, there's looking after that patient, and there's also looking after yourself, and not placing too much burden onto yourself, because you tried your best, and that's it.
Right? Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Like it's really hard to just be like, okay, I can't do anything more for them, but I feel like just after, after just being in school, at least like again from my experience, like if you're not, like, I know it's cliche, but like if your glass isn't like full, you can't like fill other people's. So if you aren't taking care of yourself, like you really cannot take care of other people.
Of course, you gotta put on the life vest before you save other people.
Yes.
Like when they do that in all training programs.
Oxygen on you.
Yeah. You first. And you had mentioned cliche, where you repeat that again with the glass.
Oh, like if your glass isn't full, you can't fill other people's.
Yeah, I've repeated this many times in the podcast because
I know
so many people say that one thing is cliche, right? But I think life's answers is actually very cliche. Like if you work hard, you get things that are worthy of having. If you stay away from bad things won't happen. It's not true in all cases, but a lot of the sayings, a lot of the quotes are very similar. Like health is wealth. Like, it's not all about the money. Like very cliche, but you can apply this in medicine. You can apply this in construction. You can apply this in the relationships that you've got.
I agree. Like I do think it's like a life model thing that you could live by.
Yeah.
I think it's important to take care of yourself so you can take care of others.
Yeah. What type of person is not suited for nursing?
I've never been asked that before. Like, okay, so there's many different kinds of nursing. Like there's nursing research, nursing. So if you're not a people person, you can definitely go into nursing research for sure. But I feel like one of the most important things is compassion. Like you need to have compassion, and you need to be able to talk to people. If you can't, you're kind of hooped a little bit.
So a person that needs to be great at interaction, empathy, compassion.
Which like you can learn, I do think, to a point, right? Like you can get more confidence with interacting with like strangers, but like if you don't have compassion, don't have empathy, in my experience, I feel like it wouldn't go so well.
That's fair. Okay, for all of you out there who are going into nursing and you don't like talking to people.
No, there's because you could be
or research nursing.
Or like this is falling off, but so people go into like ICU because they're always like, oh, I don't have to talk to the patient, which it's not always true. Sometimes
they're dying.
No, it's because they haven't vented. I mean, they're on a vent, but.
Okay. And now, if it's falling off, you gotta orient it up top more, so it's like resting on your head. How's that?
There we go.
Better. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's crazy being a nurse. You guys are tough. Toughest people I've met, like the 12-hour shifts, because I know right after, or your last, your time in Cold Lake. Yeah, long, grueling hours.
Yeah, like, okay, so I did work some 8s, which were, like, so nice, but you work a lot, because you have to get a certain amount of hours, right, within that period of time, and you do work 12s, which, honestly, 12s it depends on the shift. Every shift is so different. Some 12s are very chill. They go fast, it's a good shift, but you could also have, like, a 4-hour shift that's, like, kind of awful. So it just really depends on the day.
How do you get through the day?
That's a good question. Yeah. I honestly, like, I'm a very people person. I like to, like, talk all the time, you know?
I know.
Okay. It's true, though. I like to talk. So I feel like even just interacting with patients and getting to talk to them, like, makes me happy and, like, kind of, like, helps me get through the day, because then it's not just nursing. I'm, like, also interacting with, like, people. We talk about, like, random stuff.
How do you interact with the patient?
It depends on the situation. It depends on what they're here for. Obviously, if if they're coming in with, like, 10 out of 10 pain, I'm not like, oh my god, so how's your day going? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I struggle every day to live my life. You ask me how my day's going?
Yeah, they're like,
shit.
They're like, I have 10 pain. Why are you asking? You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't, like, I'm not gonna do that. So it's kind of like reading the room, I'd say. But I don't know. Usually I just go and, like, ask them how their day's going, introduce myself, go through my questions.
Yeah. I find, too, that if you ask the right questions, people will just open up to anything.
Oh, 100%.
I'm sure you said you're a people person, and I know for a fact you're the type of person that people would open up to because they're comfort and they feel heard. So what do you say?
I don't know. I feel like I just listen to people, like, and usually most of the time I find like when I start asking like my like base assessment questions that I have to ask, they just like start talking about their life and like and even just like looking at them. Like one nurse told me she was like, or one patient told me like she was like, like you're one of the first nurses that's like looked at me. And like, okay, to be fair, when we're so busy doing stuff, like we don't have time to like sit down and like for sure, right? But I think it also helps being a student because you can start with like less patients and then you can spend a lot of your time with those like few patients and like really giving them all your attention. Obviously it can't always happen because we're busy, but
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. I worked in the rentals departments at this place called ATS Traffic,
okay.
and just talking to people too. Just for majority of the people that come in, they've got a story to tell. And this one guy, he looked a bit exhausted, and he looked like he had lost something. And I just asked, "Hey, man, like, what's up? Like, how are you doing?" And he just looks at me, and he's just like, it looked like nobody's asked him that day yet. And he goes, "My wife, 20 years, just cheated on me and is taking the kids." I'm like, "Oh, wow."
that. Whoa.
And like he went on this rant. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh gosh, this and this and this." And
yeah,
as you said, listening is the best way because these people have already had just loops in their head about what to do and they looked at it from every single angle. So they do not need advice, right?
Most of them don't want advice. They
Yeah,
just want someone to listen to them.
If they want advice, they'll ask.
Exactly.
Right? And kind of that other person listening to them is such a liberating experience. I know for me personally, if I've got a problem, so I just expect people to listen to it. Because whether it be about my health, whether it be my confidence, whether it be kind of that self-doubt, I've already looked at myself from all different angles. And I know that there is a solution here, that I am overthinking this, and I have a maladaptive behavior here. And
ooh, a little psychology in there.
Yeah. I ask people, and then people just listen, right? And those are the best people, right? And we need that more.
100%. Like it's, you can, again, you can give advice and it's not bad to give advice, but a lot of people just want you to listen.
Yeah, of course. What advice would you give to someone who is just starting nursing school?
Don't. I'm just kidding. No. I'm just kidding. No. No. Probably. No. Do it. It's good. But like get a good friend group. You need that good, or even just a few friends that are like that you can trust and get through. I don't know how many times I've called up my friends crying over like assignments or like something silly like a test or not that silly, but like you know what I mean, something that's like fine in the end. But you need those like support systems in place, and you also need something outside of nursing school to do in your life so that you are not just solely focused on nursing school.
And well, you had mentioned that the tests aren't that big of a deal. They are when you're writing those exams. That's the world to you.
Oh
right?
god,
So
yeah. No, I mean
yeah.
like I guess in like the way that like it's fine and it's gonna be okay in the end. But like when
Yeah,
you're in it, it's terrifying.
Yeah, but I've heard students say the same thing where, oh, people are starving here, nobody's got a house here, I'm privileged. Like this exam, I shouldn't be this uh, feeling this much intense feelings for this exam. And I say, no, don't discount your problems. This exam is your life right now. This is your purpose, and everything that you're doing is for this exam. So your feelings are valid.
No, 100%. Yeah. Like it's okay. It's important to check your privilege for sure, and to be thankful that you're able to go to school, of course. But like that is your life right now. That's what you're focusing on right now, and it's your feelings are like still valid. It's okay. It's terrifying to be walking to a test. Is like one of the worst, honestly, feelings I think.
Yeah, and that friend group is crucial.
Crucial.
Like I can't imagine even just in life going through this alone. Like this podcast, like I've asked so many people, hey, this what do you think? And I've asked my parents about, oh, this is just, I'm doubting myself, or oh, like what should I do? Who should I have next? And there's all these people that you meet and that you grow with, and not having anyone is terrifying.
I couldn't imagine that. I feel like those connections are what gets you through the day, especially on like really tough days. You need those people to reach out to and to talk to.
It's the connections.
Everything.
Right. I think that's the meaning of
Of
life.
life. I think we just solved it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think we just solved it. I mean, I've been writing equations.
I think this is
That's what role does physical activity play into your life?
huge role. I started going to the gym like second year or third year. I don't remember because I was like so stressed and one of my friends went to the gym, so I just went with her a few times and ended up loving it. I played sports like pretty much my whole life, but I stopped playing soccer when I got to university just because I was so busy all the time. And I like fell in love with the gym. It's just such a good outlet, especially after like a really crappy shift. It's like a good way to just kind of like
It's a reward for you.
Yeah. It's just like a good stress outlet, I'd say.
And how did you manage with the academic demands and like self-care, right? That going to the gym is very taxing on the body.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, the first 2 years of school, not very well.
Yeah.
I had worked way too much than I should have. And so I didn't really take care of myself the first 2 years, which is why I think I struggled the first 2 years so much. And then third year started, and I started going to the gym. I stopped working as much. I started like actually spending time with friends, like other than just studying. And it helped so much. You just kind of have to let a few things go, which is hard, but like in the end, it ended up benefiting me a lot more.
Would you say it's more for your mind or more for your confidence or just connecting with friends?
Well, the gym kind of became like a social thing also, so that was nice because then I could, study all day and then go to the gym and just like two birds, one stone, go to the gym and see friends. But I would say it's probably most for my mind, just like for stress and anxiety to like, again, find that like actually healthy outlet instead of like.
Mhm. I find that when I go to the gym, just the
You talk to everybody though.
Yeah, sometimes too many people. I've gone into the problem now where there's too many, so I gotta turn my head down. I gotta drop some people. Yeah. With you said it helps with your anxiety.
Yeah.
No, can you describe what that's like before and after the gym?
Like in a normal day to day, or like
in a normal day to day. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think anxiety is obviously different for every single person, and like some days mine's chilling, and some days it's like it's awful.
Yeah.
But I feel like after the gym, endorphins, and seeing friends, like I always feel 100 times better, even if I don't want to go. I'll feel better after.
Yeah. I find that I overthink. Like there's like one thing that just gets
stuck in your head.
Stuck.
And then you can't stop thinking about it.
And then I'm thinking about it. And it just keeps getting like stirred up. And next thing you know, there's more ingredients in there. And I've got
a cake soon.
Then I've got a full cake.
Yeah.
And then I gotta eat the cake, and it's all day. And then I got no one to share it with. And the moment I got someone to share the cake with, the burden is light. Right? And does that make sense?
You're right. It does though. It does. I get where you're going.
But in the gym, when you're when you're in motion, it feels productive, right? And that's the one thing that there's this quote where I forget how it goes, but you're rigorous in your body so that the mind stays in line.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that.
And I feel like everybody in one shape form experiences anxiety. And I used to think that it was just for like sissies, and like I didn't know, like I didn't do any self introspection, and then I realized, I do get anxious when this type of person comes and they feel a bit hostile, or maybe they're not as accepting, or when there's a test upcoming, when there's a shift at work that I'm dreading.
Yeah.
It just builds up, and the gym is an excellent role in life to just be able to discard all that built up tension.
100%. And like obviously you do need to, like go to therapy. It's good. But and it is good for you for sure. And I think you need to also balance the gym with like mental whatever the word is. But It's such a good outlet, what you said for like the tension, because I feel like when I'm like stressed about something, it builds up, it builds up, it builds up, and then usually it used to come out in like outbursts if you're like angry, or like if you just like get really upset and then start like crying. Whereas like, not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you can kind of let it out in the gym, like you're gonna feel 100 times better going
Of
about your
course.
day-to-day life.
And it's not only the gym, right? You could play soccer, you could go
Yeah, no,
climbing,
100%.
you could
Walks. You could
go
go on
on a
walks.
Zumba,
Literally
walks.
anything that is
Yeah.
good for you.
Get your heart racing, do a bunch of jumping jacks.
Yeah.
Just because when you're focused onto something, you forget your dilemmas, right? Because it is very burdensome to go about your day and have just so many thoughts. And you need an outlet, whether it be
100%.
creative or physical.
Right? It doesn't even have to be physical. It can
Yeah,
like put in good music and just do
There you
whatever
go.
makes you happy.
Yeah. How do you motivate yourself to keep going though?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Some days are definitely tougher than others. And I do think that it's important to take rest days. Because I think there's a difference between being like, oh, I'm lazy, I don't want to go to the gym, and being like, I'm exhausted. Like, obviously you need a rest. But I feel like on the days when I'm like, oh, I'm lazy, I just like, I know I feel better after. And also like, I get like really like antsy just like sitting places. Like I don't like just sitting for a while. So, you know, I know it's gonna be better for me for the rest of the day that I actually like, got up and moved.
Yeah. And it's just a good outlet.
Yeah.
And while you need to prioritize going to the gym and prioritizing the physical side of things, you also need balance.
100%. Sometimes you can't. You like. There's definitely when I was in Cold Lake and super busy, you know, with like assignments and had like 3 12-hour shifts. I definitely need to go for like a week and a little bit, and that's okay. That's fine. You need to prioritize yourself. You know, whatever works for you in that moment.
And what I've found out is people that establish goals and routines and they get fired up at the start and they don't miss, they keep going. And then as soon as that one day pops up, or maybe that one week where you don't go to the gym, you don't end up reading, you don't end up studying as well as you expected, people get demoralized. And then it gets into this whole big identity thing where, okay, I skipped the gym, I skipped studying. What does that say about me? And people go, oh, I'm stupid. Oh, I'm lazy. And then they conform and then they tank, right? So what would you say to someone that makes mistakes? Doesn't fall in line with kind of the routines, the goals that they set?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know if I have anything like really astounding to say about that, but I would just say like again in my like 22 years of life, just give yourself grace. Like life is hard. Life throws a million things at you all the time, and like you are human. You are going to make mistakes. That is literally a part of life, but that's also how you learn. And also expecting yourself to be perfect all the time is so unrealistic. Like an actual, you know, routine or whatever your habit you want to create that you can maintain throughout your whole life is gonna, I think, benefit you way better because then you're able to keep that like routine as opposed to like every day I have to go to the gym. Like, that's not realistic.
That and that forgiveness. You gotta forgive yourself. Like everybody makes mistakes. I keep hearing over and over about how it is a great idea to view when you make a mistake to talk to yourself as if you're talking to a friend.
Ooh, that's a good way.
Yeah, like if you go, oh, I didn't thoroughly follow my diet, and you didn't, you know that yourself. What would you say to a friend?
Right? Like, would you say those mean things to your friend? No, you definitely wouldn't.
Of course no.
So why are you saying it to yourself?
Yeah, don't say that.
Which is hard to like. Easier said than done, of course.
Yeah.
But that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. So you had said that connecting with friends is a big part of going to the gym too, and it's become a social thing. Now, what does that exactly mean? Like, what does connecting to your friends mean?
It obviously like depends on the day, right? But it can be like doing the whole workout with them, and most of the time we're working out, but we're like chatting, obviously. Or even just seeing them at the gym and stretching before, and then you go do your own separate workouts. It's just nice to just like see them and just say hi. I feel like it is just like a, you know, small but like still a connection that makes my day better, at least.
You know, for people that struggle with socializing, and you're very good at it. You said you're a people person.
Let's talk.
There needs to be a guideline, right? So how do you, when you go about like seeing a friend, like making plans, connecting, how does that, do you have like a mental kind of routine of doing that?
Ooh, honestly, I would say no. Like I just,
Comes natural to you.
yeah.
But if you had to kind of reflect on how you do
Mm,
it.
Um, I don't know. I think it kind of just happens naturally sometimes in life. Like if I'm going to the gym, we have like a group chat, like for everyone that goes to my gym, and so we'll just like send in the group chat, like I'm going at this time if anybody wants to join.
Mm.
And then like I guess if I'm just hanging out with like a friend, it's just like randomly I'll like text them to hang out or kind of thing.
But that effort's there.
Yes, true. You do
Yeah.
have to make an effort to keep those relationships and like work on them for sure.
Hmm. I think for me, connection is something that I don't feel all the time. Like sometimes I'll be hanging out with a friend and I don't feel the love. But it's not like they're doing anything wrong. It's just
Mm,
maybe it's just a lack of neurotransmitters in my head, or maybe it's the lack of sleep. Maybe it's just I'm having a bad day. But
100%.
in the days where you do go and you feel like loved, you feel connected,
You feel
and
great
you
after.
feel great, and you like all the problems go away, and
Hmm.
you feel that you're not alone, and that there are other people. Especially if vulnerability is a big thing that I've been trying to advertise in this podcast, where
Yeah.
nobody's alone. You're never alone. And there
No.
are friends out there, and maybe not
So,
everyone, you're not going to please everyone, but
no,
there
it's
are
just
going to
hard, but
be people that are right for you.
100%. And if you
Mm.
haven't found them, they're still out there.
Yeah.
You still
Yeah.
got, but it's, I imagine it would be hard, like to not have,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know,
How do
good
you deal with
friends
the negativity
in my head or in life.
with people or both?
Um,
Because they could be they kind of
they kind of go
correlated.
hand in
Yeah,
hand, I
hand in
guess,
hand.
hey?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, like negative people, that's what you're talking about almost.
Yeah, yeah. People that do not make you feel relieved. People that do not make you feel human. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I would say, okay, so I used to be a people pleaser for sure, and you know we're working on it. But
Hmm.
I think that just like realizing, just as I've grown older and stuff, that like you cannot please everybody, and you are not going to be everyone's friend, and that's honestly a hard pill for me to swallow for like a lot because I do like getting along with people, and I don't like when I have like there's like a tension between me and someone. But I just kind of learned that like I have my people, and
Hmm.
like everyone's not gonna like you, and at the end of the day, like that's okay. You're not for everyone.
It's uncomfortable.
It
And
sucks.
the
It's hard.
law of probability. I'm sure you've come into this with on campus or in nursing and in high school even, where
Mhm.
there's just people that you don't click with, and
You just
they talk smack, and then whenever you pass by them, there's this big tension, and
for
like
no
you're
reason.
yeah for no and like the people right now that do not like me. I know I'm not perfect, but
Come on.
like I didn't do anything wrong. You know what
Why
I
do we
mean?
have beef?
No, really. Like I'm walking past this guy at the gym,
Yeah.
and for some reason
Probably because you
just
didn't say hi to him that day, so he was
maybe
sad.
I do say hi. I'm like, hey man, like what's up? Maybe I'm too much.
Maybe
You know, I'm just
he's like,
like,
whoa, whoa.
the fuck that I've been again. He's coming, and
He's
I
like
don't
trying
know.
to
But
hide.
then it's just so. Sometimes I take it a lot, like take it hard, and I go
Yeah,
personally.
for
But
sure.
then again, I'm like, okay, I know Ireland. That's it. Yeah,
Ireland is
yeah,
everything. I feel
Ireland.
like also
Yeah,
it's hard because even the people that you don't have like beef with, like you just might not click with. Like there's some
yeah,
people that
yeah,
aren't bad. Like you're not bad people. They're not bad people.
yeah,
Whatever. Like you just don't mesh, and that's okay.
yeah. Like you have, for some reason too, like you may have the same interests, but you just
Hmm.
don't click. Maybe the humor's not there. Maybe it's just the values aren't aligned. It's not that they're bad people.
No, not at all. They're
It's
just not your person. Not your like people. to have in
yeah,
life.
they're just weak. No, they're
They're
just
awful.
degenerate. No,
No.
no, just kidding.
No.
So what is emotional intelligence, and what does it mean to you?
Ooh, okay. I find it kind of hard to define. We started learning about it second year in nursing, and at the time, little baby Ireland was like, it's not important, blah
Yeah,
blah. Obviously, it's insanely
of course.
important.
Yeah. Hmm.
To me, I would say it's like learning how to regulate your own emotions and get to know
Hmm.
like the own emotional side of you, so that you can, um, I guess, like portray your emotions as you would like to in a situation, and not let them kind of get the best of you. And then as well as like listening to other people and understanding their emotions is like a huge part of it, in my opinion, which I think is important in nursing 100%, but also in life because you have
Yeah.
relationships with everybody in life. And if you can't regulate your own emotions and listen to somebody and hear them, not a great
I
relationship.
I'm willing to go as far as it is more important than IQ
Oh,
for
I
quality of
personally
life.
think
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. Because the majority of our days they're dealing with relationships, and when I read this somewhere where the best of feelings and the worst of feelings come from people.
I missed your
Yeah.
motivational quotes, but
Yeah.
I missed your little quotes.
What was isn't
No,
like
but you're
the best times of your life, they're from like usually with family members, with your
yes,
friends,
yes,
and the worst time
are
is
with
from
other people.
yeah,
that
with
you
like
had problems
a
with.
breakup or just like that guy didn't like you, girl, the beef with your friend and
Yeah.
ended friendships. Those are just so crushing, and I don't think I've ever felt that much pain.
In a test.
Yeah, no,
No.
exactly. Like pain from tests are different, right? Like they can
No,
I can
that's-
recover,
Yeah.
but like a friendship that kind of
No.
like a 10-year friendship, you grew
Oh.
up with this person and for some reason your values don't align
You just
anymore and you guys
drift.
divert. I find that heavier.
Oh, 100%. I think
yeah.
that again, like as humans, like I mean, most people are. The whole thing is like connecting to other people, and when you like break those connections or they get broken, it like sucks, and it
Yeah.
takes a while to like okay.
And emotional intelligence is something that I didn't really. I was great at it, but I didn't really keep sharpening it. In high school, it kind of withered away, and sometimes it fluctuated. I'd watch like a documentary about like dogs and like starving children, and I'll go, oh my gosh, I gotta be more caring, and then or like mental health stuff. But then it like wither away because I just forget about it. I didn't actively try to put my situation, to embody other people and view what it's like to be like them. Like I just view people and go, oh, they're that person that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
But I have this thought where I could be that person if I didn't have loving parents, if I didn't have great friends, I would be on the streets.
Genuinely same. Probably.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't know what I'd do without my dad. I'd probably be a very
like I would be a very different person.
very different. Yeah, exactly. And emotional intelligence is taught, and you need to continually sharpen that in order to get through life and
keep those connections.
Possess an aura that people can be uplifted by instead of just going about your day and bringing everyone down to make yourself feel better. Right.
I completely agree. And I do think that active listening is like such a huge part of emotional intelligence. Like regulating your own emotions is a key part of it and is important and something you need to work on for sure. But also like actively listening to the person you're talking to and like understanding their emotions is huge. Because if you just automatically defensive, if you're like, no, that's not the way I think, like how you cannot connect actually with that person.
Yeah. And to read kind of because one person will say that something where, hey buddy, how are you? Like I'm fine. Like when they say that, nobody really
like clearly you're not fine.
Clearly you're not fine. And then like I've heard the guys and then the relationships, and I know it's cool with the girls, right? Say, you okay, honey? Like, don't tell me what's wrong. Tell me. You can clearly tell someone's going through a bad time because of the way they show their facial expressions, the way they're
like present to you,
the way they present to you, and like their eye contact, maybe their voice, the low pitch, maybe the lack of enthusiasm. It's all there, and we need each other to rise, to keep going, to have peace. We need each other. Can't get through this life alone.
Oh God, no. Life's hard.
Yeah, no. Can you walk us through your process of debriefing after a particularly challenging or emotional situation, and how has that helped you in your personal and professional life?
So debriefing has been such an important part of nursing. You learn it like right away. You always debrief after clinical, you debrief after a lab or whatever. And like I feel like I didn't really appreciate that until third year. One of my clinicals, we had a patient like pass away. And we like debriefed after, and it like made the biggest difference. And so when I went into like my preceptorship where you're alone, you're not with like other students, I missed that like group debrief after like a shift and talking about what kind of happened, because you see like a lot of traumatic things in nursing. And so if you cannot debrief, I know I've talked to my therapist a lot about this because I didn't want to become like desensitized, and I didn't want to turn that like part of myself off. But I think that this is kind of a tangent, but I think that sometimes like you kind of have to turn that part of yourself off in nursing, or else you can't do your job. But it's really important to check back in with yourself at the end and like actually process what happened. So I guess like debriefing with like my therapist, and then like nursing friends, because they get it the most. Like obviously other friends and families, great support, but because they're in similar situations, like FaceTiming them, just going out for walks with them, like I say, is debriefing where you can like unpack situations and unpack like how you felt during them. If that makes sense.
And can you debriefing is just going through what happened and processing the how and what and why of the process?
I think it's personally like whatever helps you the most. Like for me, debriefing is like walking through the situation and then like kind of talking about how I felt during it, and then maybe like if it happens again, maybe how can I, you know, be different,
Solutions.
or yes,
Yeah,
like
how can you
solutions for
go about it
if it
next
happens
time with
again.
a better mode of thinking, a
Mm,
better way to cope, a better way
yes,
of just augmenting how you go about the situation so it doesn't happen again, or if it does happen
you
again,
can cope
you can
better.
cope better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just it's really important to have that outlet, right? With your coworkers, with your family and friends, because these things in life that are very morbid, that do take a toll on our psyche,
Yeah.
we need that outlet, right? And as you
Oh,
said, it's helped everyone after a patient just died in your under your guys' care. Right? Everybody's got questions,
oh God,
and
everyone's feeling
yeah,
something different, you
yeah,
know.
and those questions need to get answered. And it's to
100%.
know that, hey, you're not alone,
Mm,
and to establish that connection
yeah.
and it goes back to emotional intelligence again, right? Which is big on kind of debriefing and
Like reflecting and knowing that like
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
sometimes maybe you
mm-hmm.
need to step away, and that's okay from the situation. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I think just like remembering to process your emotions and actually like be like, okay, at the end of a shift or anything that happens is traumatic. Like, am I okay? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is
Yeah.
it actually, or do I need to like maybe talk about this more with someone?
Because the more you neglect that side of you, it intensifies
It just
inside. The
builds
more you
up.
neglect it, you shove it all down. It's
Yeah.
like you're shaking up a Pepsi
Margarita.
bottle, yeah,
Yeah.
and it just explodes one day. And the people that do get hurt, it's sure it's you, but it's everybody around you, whether it be
Mm.
coworkers, whether it be your friends and family. And if you don't let it out, if you don't have these debriefing moments where you do talk about the tough times, where you talk about the moments where you're tested,
Mm.
you will hurt, if not yourself, other people around you.
But you will hurt others, right? And
Mm.
like usually, I would say probably like before when I wasn't the best at like dealing with my emotions. When I first started school, I was so stressed all the time, and like
Yeah.
didn't have no outlet, or had no outlet.
Yeah.
I was angry, honestly, a lot. Like I felt like I would get angry like little things, like because it would be like the last thing at the top of my like thing, and then I would just like lose it and kind of just like be like angry or grumpy, you know. And now I feel like that I've started to like get better with processing my own emotions and like self-reflection. I feel like I've started to realize like, okay, like you need to check in with yourself, you need to go through this and like figure out your emotions so that, you know, tomorrow you're not taking it on your family who did nothing.
I was having a particularly bad day. I was driving back home from a very hectic day, a lot of things on my mind, and it wasn't anyone's fault. And I came back home, and my sister was just trying to take it. It was just, she had recently just started driving, so she had trouble backing up, and I just was frustrated. I kept honking the horn and looking, yeah, in retrospect, like,
Yeah.
why did I do that? Right? It was just that because I was built up,
Yeah.
I had built up all this tension, and I felt really resentful and like the victim, and that I deserve to be angry, and I didn't have a good healthy outlets. And
And
yeah,
that's
no,
still gonna happen like
it's
tons
still
in
gonna
life, right?
happen,
Like
and
we're
that's
not
where
perfect.
apology
and grace
and accountability and forgiveness
is important. But I do think it
Mm-hmm.
helps when you reflect and you're aware of like where you are that day.
Yeah. I'll do it again though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, really? But it's just like she's taking her time.
It's like good for her, but as a sibling.
But I need to get in.
Move. Yeah.
How do you differentiate between healthy self-reflection and dwelling in past experiences?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel like personally for me, if you're still thinking about it and it's still on your mind, I would say you're still processing it and you're still going through it and you're not dwelling on it in a bad way. To an extent, of course. Like I think that if it's still on your mind, like it's still bothering you, you still need to go like, through it, unpack it, talk about it. But I do think that gets to a point where like it's so hard because like dwelling on it is not going to help, especially some situations where nothing will change. Like I saw this girl posted, she's a nurse, and she posted there's like one stoplight right in front of her house, and every time she gets to that stoplight, she always tells herself, okay, I leave everything from here at work. That's like my stoplight that I like. Now I'm home, everything from work's gone. And I thought that was like a cool idea because like you can think about it,
That's
most
awesome.
of your ride home, and then you hit a point where you're like, okay, I can't change anything now. I'm gone from work. Like obviously if it's like nothing really big happened, right? Like I'm gone from work, I can't change anything now. It's time to leave it. And I feel like that's a good way to look at it.
I was listening to this productivity professor and he gives himself 30 minutes on Sundays to worry.
That's actually a good idea.
To worry about everything. Just worry.
Yeah.
And after that 30 minutes passes, then it's just on to life. Things where you can actually control.
Yeah. I do think it's insanely hard to like turn your brain off. Like sometimes you just have like those little anxious thoughts that like they're irrational and you know they're irrational, but they don't like shut up and they're just like there all the time.
But sleep is a big help though.
Oh, sleep.
Sometimes sometimes you're dwelling on something and then you sleep it off and you wake up going, whoa, that was such a small problem.
Actually, I'm okay.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not gonna die. The world's not gonna end.
The world's not gonna end.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's funny. How do you ensure that you're actively listening during debriefing sessions when it's not about yourself, right? And what strategies do you use to regulate your own emotions during this time?
I feel like regulating my own emotions just kind of came from like learning how to be, I'm still learning, but like learning how to become more emotionally intelligent. Is just from experience. I would say actually probably like because we started in like first year we would debrief about all clinicals and that's kind of what opened me up into like debriefing, and so you kind of have to listen to other people. You're like forced to, which is not a bad thing. No.
Listen to this.
No. I mean it's not a bad thing, but I feel like when something's happening like when you're younger, like you just don't focus on other people as much, right? But because I was like exposed to that like first year and I'm like we've done that through my whole degree, I feel like now I'm like okay, like when someone's talking, like I need to be focused on them or else like I'm not really a part of the debriefing session. I'm not really a part of this. And obviously if you're like having a bad day and you like cannot focus, like that's one thing, right? Sometimes it's just like I cannot listen to someone else right now. But I feel like for the most part, like it's just like to get the most out of a debriefing session, like you have to also be listening to other people because you learn so much from other people. You figure out how they regulated their emotions in a situation, and then you're like, okay, I can take that going forward. If I have run into the same situation with like a patient, I can kind of follow in their footsteps and
it's a skill.
It's hard
listening. Sometimes when people are like just it's a mode of thinking that's just so foreign to you that even you don't agree with a lot of the things that they say, but it's still valid because that's kind of their own experiences. As long as it's not hurting anyone,
for sure,
then you need to listen to that and you need to be able to answer back if they do ask questions. Because I've been in many situations where you ask a person back, hey, what are you doing to this? And they're like, can you repeat that again? Or like, I wasn't really listening. And it's like, that's such a big hit. Yeah. And that's just, that's just relationships. And as someone who values family and friends, how do you maintain these connections when loved ones do move away?
It sounded so serious.
It is serious.
No, it is, but it sounded so my sister moved to BC a few years ago, and which was hard because we were really close, but again, what we talked about before, like relationships are work. You do have, they shouldn't feel like work all the time, but they are work. You do have to work at them. You do have to put effort and time into them for them to grow. But I feel like, again, just like prioritization, like I would go visit her at least twice a year, and she would come back, right, as well. FaceTiming, random FaceTimes, even like when you're in school, I guess, and you're so busy and you're not like in school with like other friends, it's hard to see them, it's hard to make that time, and you have so many things on your plate. But if you want that relationship to grow, the bottom line is you have to make the time and effort.
And if you want it to flourish, you have to put in the effort of calling, of making plans, or else it'll just wither away.
Yeah, and like it shouldn't feel like work again all the time.
Yeah.
But still, sometimes it might not. Sometimes you might not want to answer the phone, but you're like, okay, I haven't talked to them in a while. I should catch up with them.
Yeah, like how are you? What's new?
Yeah.
And you have to absorb that. My next question is: does it ever feel like work? How would you describe that? And you had said it does.
I would say sometimes it does. Like I do think that sometimes, like again, if you've had a long day at work or like whatever, you're like really tired that day and you don't really want to talk to somebody, but let's say they really want to talk and you haven't talked to them in like weeks, then it's like, okay, I know that at the end of this I'll probably feel better anyways. And it can be a quick chat, but sometimes it does, I would say. I think all relationships can feel like work at some point when you're like tired.
I'd say phone calls are so much more optimal because texting to me drags on so long.
Yeah,
that's what I found. I used to be a big texter, but now I've kind of just placed myself out of that behavior because I thought it's not a waste of time, but there's other better ways of catching up with someone. And I've also gone into the problem of miscommunication where I didn't intend for that sentence to sound resentful or sound ominous, and people absorb it as, okay, they don't care about me. Okay, he's angry. Oh, what did I do wrong now? And so I just try to call people, and usually it's 10-15 minutes, and that's usually, I think, like a 3-4 day texting.
Even if you're doing something else, like I know busy days, like when my sister sometimes wants to call, I'll be like cooking dinner and like still talking to her because you can still talk, but you're still like getting your stuff done so that you're not like stressed for the day.
Like if you have time where you are cooking, where you are just folding laundry, vacuuming, those times where it doesn't require as much like mental focus, you can just catch up with people, and that's a way to insert it. There's no excuses, right? You have time, family and friends.
100%. And it's also okay to say no if they want to call, and you literally, there's some days where you cannot, like, you gotta take care of yourself again, but even like a simple, like I think I called my sister 5 minutes the other day because I was walking to my neighbor's house, but it was just nice to like chat with her for like a second.
5 minutes is a lot. Like just hearing your a loved one's voice, or it's very fulfilling at times. It's okay, they're doing well.
Right, makes a big difference.
Yeah, you know they're doing well, and they know you're doing well. It's just vice versa, and it's just one thing to
quick little connection.
Yeah. How do you navigate conflict and disagreements within relationships while maintaining closeness and understanding?
Ooh, that's a big one. Can you repeat that?
Like how would you navigate the conflict and disagreements
while
still maintaining closeness and understanding? Because there are those tough talks, and you don't know whether this tough talk, bringing this up, could possibly tarnish the relationship for good.
Oh, that's a big question. I feel like, again, it's like kind of a thing with life. Like you learn as you go, right? Like relationships kind of ebb and flow, and sometimes obviously I make mistakes and people come to me because they're upset, and that's like hard to accept that you hurt somebody else, of course. But I feel like just everything's going back to emotional intelligence, but like listening to people and like hearing their side, and then also being friends with people that actually listen to you when you're upset over something and not like just disregarding you, and like that they value your friendship enough and you value theirs enough to like actually talk through a disagreement. And personally, every disagreement that I've had with a friend or a family member, once we talk through it and it's like, okay, usually you end up being closer because you learn something about that person, or I feel like every time you go through conflict, you get closer to somebody.
I've had many arguments with friends and family, and you're not like you spend enough time with people, even
Oh,
friendships.
you're
You're
gonna
gonna
fight.
you're
You're
gonna
gonna disagree.
fight. You're gonna disagree. You're gonna argue. You're gonna have these feelings of resentment and these
Mhm.
feelings of betrayal. But it's about those tough talks that
Yeah.
actually bond you closer to people, and not and running away from that just intensifies everything. And
And again, it builds up in you, and
yes,
then
and
it usually
yeah,
you
and
can
it
like wreck
comes
your
out.
relationship
Yeah,
eventually.
it comes
So,
out in
mhm.
catastrophe. It comes
Yeah.
out in it may be too late to repair
Yeah.
that. So it's great to give time to yourself to reflect and think about way of solution and
Yes.
ways of, okay, was it my fault, and ways that you contributed to the problem and
Yeah.
ways that they contributed, because it's both your faults, right? Because
Usually,
people that just point fingers all the time, usually when you're going about those tough talks, you're never gonna reach for a common ground,
like
because it's just their fault all the time.
like if you can't compromise your also I do think that's such a good point you made. Like
Yeah.
if someone really like makes you upset and you're really upset, you're like frustrated, like don't talk to them that day.
Yeah,
Don't talk
like
to them
you're
that
just
day.
gonna point the finger, making it worse.
Just 100%. Like
Yeah.
if you can, obviously, like take the day, just
Pick the day.
reflect on it yourself,
Yeah. Go to the
and then
gym.
go to the gym, lift some heavy
Yeah,
weights,
yeah.
and then once you're more calm, once you kind of collected your thoughts, then you can go to that person, and I feel like it 100% of the time works way better because you're having like a rational conversation where you're like, this is what you did,
Of
this is
course.
why it hurt me, and if people aren't gonna listen to you, like then they're a crappy friend. Like,
Yeah, no. Yeah.
like
And
they're not the
then
person you want to be around.
they probably shouldn't. You guys shouldn't be connected,
Yeah.
right? And at the end of the day, there are those relationships where enough is enough. You care about them, but it's too much,
Yeah.
and it's taxing, and there's just times where it is needed, where you guys go in separate directions. And going back to what you said earlier about trying your best for the patient, that goes in line with relationships as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You tried your best, and it seems that you guys just can't find common ground, and you can't find a suitable solution because it just keeps repeating over and over. And while it's great to analyze the entire situation, you also have to keep in mind the patterns that come from the relationship that you've had. Because I've met people and they say, "Oh, this friend betrayed me. Oh, this loved one. Oh, this." How come every single person in your
Betrays
life
you.
betrays you? Oh, maybe there's a pattern here.
Oh, you might be the problem.
Yeah, no, exactly. I've heard so many
Yeah.
people where it's like, this person wronged me, that person wronged me, this person wronged me. And then you talk to them for a while, and I realize that they are the common
like
factor.
And that's why self-reflection is so important. And like
Yes.
some people, again, like you might grow up and you might be really close and that's awesome. But as you get older, people change and people's values and views change. And if you keep fighting all the time, like obviously you don't want to just throw away a friendship, but like sometimes you'll have better peace of mind if you just like you can't be friends with everyone.
You can't please everyone. We're just simply human, and you don't have all the time in the world, and life is finite.
Life is short, man.
Yeah,
Life is very short.
Yeah, we gotta do the things that actually make us whole, that actually fulfills us, and surround ourselves with people that uplift and encourage. And well, it's not all positive all the time,
And that's part of life
because
again.
everybody makes mistakes and nobody's perfect.
100%. But if you're willing to work, usually I ask, like, especially when I get really like senior patients, like 96 years old, I'll ask them like, okay, what's your like life advice? What's your like one thing?
Me too.
I love hearing their stories, and like I'm like, what's your one thing? And 99% of the time, it's literally like do things that you want to do because life is short. Like they're like, I don't know how I'm already 96. Like I had one the other day, he's 96, and he was like, I don't know how I'm like so old. But he was like, life is short. Like you need to do what you want to do while you can still do it.
I really value the advice from seniors. They have lived their lives fully and reached an age that we can't even fathom. Going through debilitating issues within, experience grief in all facets of life, whether it be losing a loved one, whether it be losing the ability to do an activity
that
like
you've done your whole
running.
life. Yeah.
They've lost friends, they've attended funerals, they've been married, they've been divorced, they've been loved, they've been betrayed, and it runs so deep. And what they say rings so true to my heart and so true to my mind, body, and soul, where I really take it home with me and I reflect on it. And there's this book called Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia, and he goes to say that one day we're going to be attending funerals. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
like, wow.
and right now I haven't really, there's nobody really around my friend group that have died, or even we went to high school with.
Yeah.
Nobody's really gone through that. But once we hit 30, 40, people are just going to be, there's car crash, there's cancer, there's suicide. You know, as morbid as that is a very common problem.
And I do think that a lot of times, like, since they have lived all these experiences, they're able to like look at life through such a lens where like I did go to a funeral not that long ago for somebody I knew, and
I'm sorry. Yeah.
thank you. But it's just when you're in it, it's so hard to like see like the whole picture, I feel like. Whereas like when I talk to these seniors and these older people, then like they are able to like look back at life and be like most of them are just like, you should just be happy. Like life again goes so fast. Like, you know, you just gotta live. That's what they all say.
We suffer more in imagination than in reality.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. There are things that, yeah, where it's magnified. Like you have a friend that's mad at you. You're thinking about that. Oh man, we're gonna all that 10-year friendship, all the years that's gone to waste, all the times that we've shared, the videos, we're gonna have to delete all the photos because it's too painful. But then in reality, it's you guys just need to have that tough talk, and then you're back.
Yeah. You know? Or if you guys do split your ways, or even for like a breakup or whatever, like again, it's so hard to do it in the moment. It's way easier said than done, like way easier. But like you can still look back at those pictures and know that okay, we still had good times. We still had times where we were happy, and they were still a part of my life for so long in my life. But now I'm on a different part of my life where there's, you know, going to be like different.
You've learned
experiences and different people.
Yeah, I still have pictures of my ex-girlfriend up on my Instagram. And like if she asked me to take it down, I would. But, like I just scroll back and I go, "Oh wow, like that person taught me this." And
yeah, exactly. I learned so much from that relationship. Like it's I feel like, and you also hear so much like don't live with regret, which again is hard to do because when you get focused on something, you're just like fixated on it. But I feel like just like being around death and like seeing like traumatic stuff, like honestly has like for again the short time that I've been seeing this stuff, like when I was in Emerge, like just seeing all that kind of like all those kind of situations, it really changes your like perspective. Like I really like obviously valued life before, but like I never realized how like short it was and how like something can change on a dime. Like someone your life's fine and then all of a sudden they're passed away, like or they got in a car accident, you know, like it changes like right away. And I think everything can be taken from a person. Everything, anything, at any time. Death is so prevalent. Like, yeah, that's good. It's likely to happen. You don't know when it's coming. You don't know when it's coming. And that used to be something that would catapult me into a mindset of doom and gloom and what's the point of it all? And it's scary, like when you think about it. But I feel like what like my preceptor, she read this book, and I don't remember what it's called, but it's just like, what's the point of everything? Like, you know, we're not really relevant, which okay, it obviously is like take that with a grain of salt. But I feel like it has some kind of point. Like you cannot get so worked up about everything in life because like life goes on, life keeps going on, and then it's just gonna stop one day. And you don't want to look back and be like, oh wow. Yeah. There's gonna be a time where you just die or you're in your deathbed. And did you ensure that your relationships were at the best, or did you hold on to this one thing? Did you hold on to that grudge that one person said to you, and you had your Tuesday nights and you just reflected on how much of a victim you are, and it is justified that you are happy. Yeah. But then once you're in your deathbed, you look back
or from I've never been on my deathbed, but imagining it.
Yeah, for sure.
Why does it matter that that person dissed me?
In
Why
the
does that?
long run, it does not matter. And again, in the situation, it's so hard to see that, right? Like when someone wrongs you, it's like,
It's the
what the heck? Like this is everything right now, and it is valid to have those emotions, but
Mhm.
I do think you also have to kind of sometimes step back, which is hard to do, but step back and see like biggest picture. Is this gonna matter in 5 years? Is this gonna matter in 2 weeks? No.
Of course not.
So my mom always says, then why are you getting upset about it? It's not gonna matter in 2 weeks.
Yeah. There's a saying in Stoicism, it's called memento mori, and it's just the way the Romans had reminded themselves that we are all mortal. And it's just a reminder that life is fleeting, that you must try your best within every single day and live a life of virtue, live a life of compassion, forgiveness, resiliency, and not act like the victim all the time. And while you are the victim in life's
For sure.
endeavor, you are subject to betrayal, grief, uh, backstabbing.
But you are also responsible for your own happiness.
Yes.
And no one else is gonna,
Yeah.
Do that for you. Like that's on you.
We are all given this life, and we have the ability to go to the gym. We have the ability to study, to create the path that is best suited for our own niche in the world. And the premise of this podcast is exactly that, where there's a role, no matter maybe if your IQ is low and you're not cut out to be an astronaut, or maybe if you aren't the tallest person and you can't go into the NBA and that's your biggest dream, but the more you just one foot in front of the other,
Yeah.
there is a skill, there is a place for every single individual
for sure.
in this world.
You gotta find like your path in life, and sometimes it definitely I feel like gets deterred. Like second year, I was so close to dropping out of nursing. I was like on the brink of dropping out.
Bogged down from all the stress
and it was like COVID, and I was like, I don't want to do this. This is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad told me like he was like, just stick it through the semester, just stick it through and see after that if you wanna find a different path. That's like totally fine. And shout out to him because of that, I love it. I love my job. I love the career I'm like going into. But I just feel like in life, like sometimes you have to keep going, but also you need to like there is a path for you out there. You just have to find it, which takes a long time and is a lot of work, but you'll be happier.
Nothing worth having comes easy. And nothing,
No.
absolutely nothing. It's the
Unfortunately
easiest
not.
things in life. They're not worth having. Like I could give into my anger. I could avoid the situations where
You could honk at your sister all the time.
honk at my
Yeah.
sister. I could not go to the gym. I could, sleep in late, play video games. But then who will I be?
I mean, balance is important, to be fair,
Of course.
but that's not what you want to do in your life. So then
Exactly.
that's not like your priorities, right? And your goals.
It doesn't align with the values and the vision. Right?
Mhm.
That's where self-introspection is a great thing. So what do you mean by fake it till you make it mentality? And how does that influence your life?
I feel like this has been a big part of my life because I can't remember. I've struggled with confidence like a lot of my life. And I keep going back to nursing, but especially because nursing's been such a huge part of my life, especially in nursing, like sometimes you just have to pretend you have the confidence and then it kind of comes. I don't mean like obviously doing something unsafe and not having the education. I mean like if you know what you're doing and stuff, like you can still be scared. One of my really good friends in nursing, Summer, she tells her kids this all the time, like it's okay to be, you still have to do this thing, but it's completely okay to be scared, but you still have to do it. But I just think it's such a good like thing to remember because like okay, I can be terrified to do this, but I'm just gonna pretend it's fine and I'm just gonna do it. And like you just kind of have to, I don't know, but like you just have to do it to do it. Do you know what I mean?
I don't
know if that makes sense.
A lot of people suffer from imposter syndrome because they embody this identity of confidence because they pass the bar exam, because they get into med school, because they get into a university that is prestigious, and they doubt themselves, and that kind of mentality of fake it till you make it, right? Where they do try, and you do try, and then once you embody this person that you in the past you didn't really think that you were capable of, you feel like an imposter. But that is you. Sure, you do fake it till you make it, right? Because we do experience a lot of doubt, and that
For
is
sure.
where this mentality stems from.
But I also
Because
do think that it's like doubting yourself, even though you know it, but you are like, I don't have experience with it. I'm nervous. I'm anxious. You know it, but you just need to like trick your brain into being like, I know it. Like I can do it.
yeah, where you do feel all these emotions that are running rampant within your psyche, but you do not let it define the actions that are about to take place. You're going to be subject to drawing blood, right? If you're scared about that, you got to do it, or else you won't be able to get into the class or pass the class.
And the only way you can honestly get better at something is doing it more. And I like that you brought up imposter syndrome, because I think that is literally such a huge thing in life. Like I know like a lot of my nursing friends talk about it, because going into the field we feel like we know nothing. We know a lot. We can do a lot, but we also have so much left to learn. So it almost feels like you're like, I shouldn't be here because I know so little. But that's a part of it, is like growing and learning as you go.
I think it's because you embody this person and you look in the mirror and you go, wow, I've achieved so much. And it's that guilt, it's that maybe shame where it's like, I didn't think I was capable of this. Now I'm here. Now you're soon to be a registered nurse. You just finished your clinical. And when you look back at all the trials and tribulations where you did doubt yourself, where you did look in the mirror and go, am I cut out for this? You were about to quit your second year, but you didn't. You stuck through. You kept going, one foot in front of the other. And the days where you felt like everything was on your shoulders, you called your friends, they lightened the burden. And those days where you got a bad mark and you still came back, you studied more the day after, you got a good mark, and then you got another bad mark. There was so much doubt and guilt, and all these emotions just filled in your brain. And it's that new person where you're under this immense pressure that the new Ireland Ferguson comes out, right? From the ashes. Right?
Yeah, from the stats ashes.
You're this new person. Yeah. And that's just, we gotta accept that we are this new person. And we have all these responsibilities now, and you did it. This is you.
I do feel like it's like such a new identity, you know, and it's such a new part of your identity when you like graduate school or you start a new career or whatever, you become like, you're married, like whatever the reason is, whatever it is such a new part of you that's almost like hard not to feel this imposter syndrome. But like, you are where you're meant to be. You've worked so hard for it. You know, you are where you're meant to be. It's just terrifying, but that's
to internalize that confidence. A lot of people will tell me, "Oh, I got lucky." Like I was talking to my friend Adri, and he was telling me about a little bit of his achievements when it comes to even relationships, when it comes to school. And he goes, "Oh, I got luck." I'm like, "There's no such thing as luck."
No, you worked for that.
No, you worked for that. Every single thing that you are right now. Okay, sure, maybe you were born into a family that was a bit privileged. Maybe you are born into like a church park. We're all very privileged here.
Very privileged, yes. But I do think that they're separate things. Like I do think that you working hard is not diminished just because you do, of course. Like we do all have privilege for sure, but it's not like diminished.
Yeah,
like you're working hard.
That's not to take away from all the achievements. That is not discounted just because you're born into this life. And
it's important to be self-aware of that, of course, but you also need to be aware of and celebrate that you did this amazing thing.
That you're in. I was working out with a friend actually yesterday too, and he had said that he wanted to start his own podcast, that he wanted to do this, that he wanted to
follow in your footsteps.
Not follow in my footsteps necessarily, but he said he told himself he wasn't credible. But this guy is like going into law, he's working double jobs, he's working out, he's like huge. And I go, and you've done a lot. Like he didn't seem to account for all the things that are in the 1%. Like he already has his degree in business, and getting into university in the first place is just
it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's tough. And then every year there's people dropping out. There's exams that will test you.
More stuff brought into your life every year that you have to balance with school. It's hard.
And then he got his degree, and now he's going into law. And he's still working out, and he's got 2 jobs, and he has his own apartment. And like, you have so much going for you. Why don't you see that?
Yeah.
He goes, oh, I don't know, man. It's just some of my friends or this and this. And like, it's that confidence, right? It's that, there's no such thing as luck. You work for all that.
It also goes back to the negative self-talk. What would you tell your friend that if that was them? No.
Yeah, no, of course you wouldn't. You are capable. Everyone's capable.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Is confidence something that we have to keep sharpening, or is it does it become dull?
I think it's something that you have to keep sharpening as you go through life. Personally, in my experience, I feel like just, again, like, I know that's not always the best, but like fake it till you make it, and to the point where like even just like doing little skills in nursing now, like I'm so comfortable with them. You know, at the first part you're like, like hopefully, like I know my stuff, but I'm terrified to do it. But like again, as you go through life and you like get more experience in that certain area, your confidence will grow in it. That's how I look at it.
You look back onto your first day, now you are so much more capable and you've gone through a lot, and now you are capable of all these different skills within nursing. And people seem to forget that they started from level 1. And now they're at level 50, and then when they drop down to level 45 because they didn't do something right.
Yeah.
They forget that they were at level 1.
And I do that all the time. Like my friend literally the other day reminded me when we were in like, I think I missed an IV or something on someone, you know. And she was like, okay, but remember when like we couldn't like hang IV medications, like something like we couldn't program a pump. Like you started here and now you're here, you know, and you're gonna fall down a bit. That's okay. Yeah. But it's such a real thing to like, you have to look back and be like, look at how far I've come though. Look at how far I've come and how much I've done. Yeah. And be proud of that.
You can't give up now.
No, you're so close.
You're so close. And you've come so far, you've been tested, and sure you drop down a couple levels. But you know you can keep surpassing that, because at the earlier stages there were days where you're just, oh wow, I'm not getting better. But then you just forgot about that, or it's not like you forgot about that, but you look back and you go, done it.
Oh, I actually did get through those days. And again, you're gonna make mistakes. You're human. That's literally life. Of course. But so you have to look back and appreciate how far you've come.
Can you recall a specific situation where adopting a confident demeanor helped you achieve a desired outcome, despite initial doubt and insecurities?
Probably the biggest one in my life was that I was completely gonna drop out of nursing because I didn't think that I could do it. But I stuck with it. Actually, for better even, my final preceptorship. So we choose in year 3. You like give 3 options that you really want to do, and they try to place you in one of those positions. And I think I picked like peds oncology and like cardiac, I think, and then I don't remember what the other one was, but they came out with this rural initiative, and it was like if you can go to like a rural site. And I remember looking at all the ones, and most of them were emerges. And I was like, oh, I don't know, like emerge just, not that any nursing is easy, but I was like, emerge just seems so scary. Like you have no idea what's coming in the door. It's like you have to know a little bit about everything. I was like, there's no way I could ever do merge. But I remember talking, this is so random, but I was like visiting Abby, my sister, and I was talking, we were at this like, obstacle course, and I was talking to this guy who used to be a security guard, and his wife's a nurse, and we're chatting, whatever. And he was just like, but, well, like, how would you know? Like, why wouldn't you try it? Like, it's, why wouldn't you try it? Life is short. Get after it. Get after it. Like, why don't you give it a shot? He was like, what do you have to lose? And I was like, that's a good point. Sorry, I keep doing that. But, so I decided to do it, and I loved it. I love Emerge. That's, like, my place. I, like, actually realized that that's where I want to work. So, and even though I was terrified, like, every single day, and I'm still kind of, like, scared, of course, because it's, like, so new, but I feel like it's, like, again, faking that confidence.
Face your fears.
And look, I'm happy now. I'm not saying you're going to always be in the place you need to be or want to end up, but, like, because I stuck through it and was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it, and we're just going to have to deal with, like, the anxiety and stuff as I go, I ended up loving it.
You were subject to that doubt, again, as we talked about, 100%. And you were about to drop out.
Yeah.
But that security, or that guy had told you, what do you have to lose? You give it your best, and let's say you weren't up for it. Let's say you actually failed the tests, and you had to. It wasn't.
Or maybe it just wasn't the place I wanted to end up in.
But at the end of it, you're not gonna wonder because you tried your best.
And that's
You're
what he
not
kept
gonna wonder.
saying.
Yeah.
He was like, what if you look back and you don't do it? You're gonna regret it? And I was like,
Yeah.
probably.
Probably.
Like, I met so many people in Cold Lake, you know, like, I made so many new relations, like, friendships.
It's
and,
amazing.
like, you know, like, I had such great experiences there. And I never would have had that if I hadn't gone.
Yeah, if you didn't jump in the deep end,
Yeah.
how would you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true, though.
What would you say to someone who does not believe in themselves?
I think that, like, everyone has times in life where they do not believe themselves, for sure. I know I still do. But I feel like um, if you really do not believe in yourself and that's like a continual thing, I don't think you have good supports and I don't think you're around the right people. Because I know when I have bad days and I do not believe myself, I'll like call my friends and they'll like hype me up and like be like, you know, like you can do this, you're capable, or like even family. But I feel like if you do not believe in yourself at all, like first of all, you can give yourself that grace because you're not gonna be perfect all the time and that's okay. But I do think that you need to surround yourself with better people because if you're not believing in yourself at all, like yes, that is your responsibility to be happy and work on yourself and believe in yourself, but it's the people around you that like really pick you up when you're kind of like down for the day.
You're in control of the things that do happen.
Mhm.
You have the right to choose your own friends
Yes.
and the right to allocate how much you spend time with certain endeavors, whether it be relationships, whether it be your career, whether it
Hobbies,
be
anything.
anything. You're in control.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Yeah. You're gonna make an excellent nurse. You already are an excellent nurse
Thank
from your clinical. And yeah. To everyone, there's a place for you in this world.
There is a place. You just
Yeah.
gotta find it. It's
I mean,
hard,
look,
but
this person found one and she was like I'll get out.
no, that's true. I'm like, oh yeah.
There is a place for you in this world, and as long as you never give up and keep going.
And find good friendships. That's everything. I would not have gone through nursing school without good friends and that good friend support.
There is support, there is opportunity out there, and there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, and life is short, so
Life is short.
live your
Memento
life.
mori.
Live your life.
Death is coming.
Death is coming. Beware. I'm just kidding.
Beware. Live in fear. Don't
Yeah.
go out.
No.
But as always, everyone, keep it long term.